The traders at UBA say investors are taking a cautious stance ahead of Monday's bond auction and the outcome of this month's MPC meeting on Tuesday. Meanwhile, sell interest is seen on the short to mid-term bonds. Kenneth Onuoha, team member, Assets and Liabilities at UBA, joins me now for more market movements. Kenneth, thank you for joining us today.
Having me, Esther. Good afternoon.
I'd like us to start with the FX market. We've seen, you and I have talked about and seen the Naira weakening at the NAFEM, but it appears that it's making a recovery, and we know that the CBN has intervened at the market. Could you just share more details of that for us and tell us where the Naira traded today?
All right, that's fine. This week has been quite eventful. On the FX side, prior to now, we had seen some measure of stability in the Naira, where the USD NGN pair had pretty much traded about 1,500, around the 1,500 handle. Interestingly, this week we saw it jump to about 1,600, and that, of course, led to the CBN intervening. Twice yesterday, we saw the CBN call for quotes for ticket size of around $1.5 million, and we saw these successful bids were actually around the range of about 1,500 to 1,550, and market color indicates that about $72 million was actually sold to the market yesterday. Of course, considering the fact that we have been seeing sustained interest in demand by both local and foreign portfolio investors, we of course saw that the CBN did complement the effort he had put in by further extending this to the sale of FX to BDCs. This is, of course, the first time this was happening since April 2024, where we saw 2 of such sales sold made in April. But then, interestingly, the CBN did offer eligible BDCs about $20,000, and then we saw the bid, of course, was sold at about 1,450 Naira to the dollar. Now, this rate, coincidentally, was the lower trading limit on the NAFEM the previous day, and of course, this was essentially the intention is, of course, to target the retail market so as to ensure some measure of stability in the FX market space. As at today, the Naira CBN also intervened again today, and we saw them sell at about 1,500 again today. $2 million was actually sold today, and we saw the rates trade at about $1,500 Naira to the dollar.
Some analysts have told us this week that they've seen that they believe that investors are shying away for now from emerging markets, including Nigeria, due to some uncertainties on the global space. Of course, they're worried about U.S. Fed rates, uncertainties around the elections, geopolitical tensions, etc. Are you saying that this is changing? Because I heard you mention that there's still healthy, sustained interest from foreign portfolio investors.
Demand, of course, is basically on the strength of people wanting to repatriate, those FPIs who have actually invested, wanting to repatriate funds. I do not completely agree. Of course, you would agree with me that the interest in our domestic FI market has constantly shown an increase. It's actually the CBN and DMO that's actually reducing the allotment at every of these auctions that we get to see. So yes, the interest is still there in the emerging market. There's a lot to gain from investing in emerging markets, especially our country, Nigeria, here. And I do not completely go with that line of thought.
All right. In 60 seconds, outlook for next week and the expectations around the 300 billion bond auction on Monday.
Oh yes, the bond auction is on the front burner next week. We do expect to see some level of subscription, following from what we've seen in the previous bond auctions, where we have seen a decline in the allotments. The month of May, we saw allotments of about 380 billion. The month of June saw allotments of about 297 billion. We expect to see that the allotments for this month would obviously follow along those lines. But of course, that is dependent on where the stop rates would print at generally.
All right, Kenneth, thank you so much for talking to us today. We appreciate your time on the show. Kenneth Onuoha, team member, Assets and Liabilities at UBA.